and today is another lecture in a series of mini webinars of UN. And today we will have a lecture from Martina Germana about the designing with the soil. Martina is working for POSAD Max One. And could you introduce yourself, Marina, and your topic?
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Martina Germana, and indeed I work as urban designer at POSAD Max One. I think you're probably familiar with the office through Elena Chevchenko, that I think is part of your group. And indeed, in the past half a year, we've been working with the municipality of Rotterdam on a strategy to indeed design thinking from the underground up instead of what we're used to design public space with, so from top down. And we used West Black, which is a boulevard in the center of Rotterdam, as a case study. So today I'm going to bring you through our findings and our main lessons learned. I'm going to share my screen. You can see it. Not yet. It's loading, I think.
Yeah.
It's long to load. Let's see. Sorry about that. Yes. Like I said, we worked with, thanks to the funds, Stimulering Funds, with the Gemeente Rotterdam on this handbook on designing for and with soil. And today we're going to go through some questions that we asked ourselves. First of all, why we need to care about soil in urban areas, how to understand soil as an urban designer, how to design with and for soil, and then just a brief information on what's next for us in this research. So why care about soil in our urban areas? Basically, we are now finally kind of opening up this layer and realizing that indeed the questions that we ask to the underground are really big. There are a lot of ambitions and they all somehow land in the underground. As you can see in the pictures, usually how it is now is just like this messy accumulation of cables, and then what's left around it, it's usually what is used for all the more, let's say, healthy and really soil in terms of soil for green related issues. So we started asking ourselves, what can we do to make it more interesting? Maybe interesting to mention that also part of the issue now is not only like that they're spatially distributed in a messy way, but also that there are a lot of ownerships. Like there are a lot of companies that own the single cables, therefore that is also a complication layer to the issue. So then this was, let's say, our problem statement. How can we make sense of all these layers? We should really be feeling like we need to really learn to relate to this urban subsurface. So then how to understand soil? Like I said, going into our case study, this is West Black. It's now extremely paved, even though it's a super interesting place also for people to meet. But at the moment, what we did is then analyzing all these layers and seeing how much space is taken by this underground infrastructure, which is the third layer. Also we mirror that with the ambitions that the city has for this boulevard, which is actually to transform it into a park. That, like, of course, with all the requests and challenges that the boulevard entails, it's quite a challenge. So then, first of all, we went and looked like what happened through time, because of course soil is also a stratification of interventions. And then of course, what we realize is that most of the challenges happen in the first 5 to 10 meters, I would say, but mainly the first 5 meters of the surface where all these ambitions need to land. And this is also where we mainly focused our research. And not to forget, in all this underground rethinking of the underground, is that in the moment that you reorganize it and you want to redistribute soil, an important aspect is also to look, like, to zoom completely out and to really look at the systems. Like, in the moment that I remove part of the what we call, I'm going to introduce it later, but what we call anthropogene layer, so all the stony and sandy layer that we fill in as a human intervention, where does it go in the moment that we take it out, and where does the actually healthy soil come from? All of these questions we try to summarize in the research. But I think this is mainly what I wanted to share with you, like how to design with and for soil. Also because there is this, the report that we made is available online, so you're going to be able to check it yourself. But I wanted to, like, kind of guide you through how we designed it. And to go in specific, our main question was how to design public spaces in in dense urban areas as circular, so thinking of the systems, self-healing ecosystems, and reasoned from for this vital soil, so the soil that is indeed alive. And the interesting starting point that we took is that soil provides us with a lot of what we call ecosystem services, going from provisional services, like it can give us food, it can give us raw materials, it can give us clean energy, but it can also give us cultural services. So it can be a recreational area where soil, of course, is involved. But it could also have regulatory services. So heat mitigation, water buffering, etc. And as you can see, there's so many of them that basically what we, what our research ended up making us realize is that it's hard to fulfill all these ambitions always in one situation. So you sort of need to decide situation per situation, what is our ambitions, and how can we then design the soil according to these ecosystem services that I choose. And that's also how to simplify the super complex topic, how we organized our research. We took three main topics, let's say, that go around soil. And we try to think according to these three topics, what are the benefits, or what are the topics that we can design with the soil. And these three topics are water, organic matter, and infrastructure. And for all of them, we really went into understanding, okay, what can the soil do regarding water? So it can infiltrate, it can buffer, it can store, it can treat the soil, etc. And the same thing we did with organic matter. And we did as well for the infrastructure, so the more man-made cables, or or sewage, or lighting. And then, so thanks to these three ambitions related to soil, we started thinking in scenarios for this boulevard in Rotterdam, with these three, let's say, directions. So that what if we want Westblock to become the most climate adaptive and waterproof, water resilient boulevard? And then we did the same. What if we would like Westblock to be the most biodiverse boulevard? And we tried like that to sort of frame a bit better the measures that are needed for that. And for example, if we go through the maximizing climate adaptation, so what we did, we gave an impression, like a bit of a vision for the boulevard, but then the interesting part is also that per every scenario, we really went and described for the three topics that we said before, so water, biodiversity, and water, organic matter, and infrastructure, we really described what could be the measures to take. So to give you an example, if your ambition is to create a climate adaptive boulevard, then one of them, if we go to V2, is to use a soil that has big conglomerates of stones so that the water can penetrate easier, for example. And we have this for like all the three topics. I think another one, for example, here for organic matter could be use plant types with strong roots to break up the compacted soil and again improve permeability. And we kind of organized all these measures also according to at what depth the measure applies. To sort of visually see, okay, which part of the soil really responds to this measure. And this we repeated for the three scenarios, and we also gave some realized projects as a reference to how could this measure then look like in real life. And yeah, like I said, we did it for the other two scenarios as well. So in this case was about maximizing biodiversity. I'm not going to go through the whole measures, but you can find them. But we did the same. What are the measures for it? And what about the scenario where you want the boulevard to be as much as possible circular? And this was a bit our way of dealing with these scenarios. And what we're busy with now is basically, okay, we have all these measures. They're a lot because basically every scenario has probably 20 to 30 measures. But what we want to look at in this second phase is really what are the measures that really have the most impact in terms of really quantitative impact, and then to make, let's say, the transitions more feasible. So what we're doing now is really like going into the analyzing the main measures that we discussed with the municipality are the most urgent and really giving numbers to them. So what if we put X amount of square meters in West Black, what would be the actual numerical impact of these measures? So this is what we're going to be doing in the following period. And this is where you can find the report with a lot more information than how I very briefly explained you. And let me know if you have questions. Maybe I went too fast, but we can also jump back, seeing that we're such a small group, and we can discuss parts of it if you want.
Thank you very much. Does anybody want to have a question?
Very interesting, but not have questions.
Yeah.
I have questions. For me, it's a very interesting topic because in Ukraine, I work in this direction. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And my question is, how you can understand what quality the soil, because one land have big quality, another land less quality. In Ukraine, for example, we have agricultural passport, and this passport we have more than 20 lines. It's stable, and it's a lot of information about this soil. Our institute do this agri-passport, and this official like government paper. I don't know how to call. Maybe you have the same, or it's another kind of.
Yeah, it is an interesting question, because what we realized is that indeed, because it's such a, let's say, new topic, even though it's so important, there is not that many information about it that are readily available. So what exists in the Netherlands is a database that is called Dino Loket. Maybe I can share the link with you, but just to for an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have very generic information on like soil composition and what are the, like, is it mainly clay, is it mainly sand, but it doesn't really tell you much about quality like you're asking. So there we got information from the municipality that they still need to sort of rely on sampling the ground wherever they need to go into details of whether it's qualitative or not. So no, it's not readily available here either. What we know, for example, in Rotterdam, is that a lot of the top 4 meters, 5 meters that I was telling you about, because it's also post-war reconstruction, it's mainly rubbles and sand. So that's low quality soil. That's a bit of an assumption that in Rotterdam works in a way. But no, it's actually a topic that there is not even a, like, there is one person in the Gemeente Rotterdam that, let's say, has a background as a geologist, and he is the responsible person for this sampling, but it's quite fresh. Like looking at soil in this way, it's quite fresh here as well.
Oh, sorry, if I understand correctly, in Gemeente, we have person with this specialization, and he can check or some okay. It's very interesting, because in Ukraine we have how it called if in Ukraine all land is all land have very good quality soil. It doesn't matter urban or farmer or or industrial land. If start to destroy land, it's very important to have this understand what deep is soil. What deep? For example, in Ukraine, we have time to time more than 1 meter soil, and we in Ukraine we collect this soil in one place, and then we can use this soil in 3 direction. Like improve. It's according to quality. What quality? And I was responsible for this topic in Ukraine, and for me very interesting how you do this, because time to time I also saw big hill with soil, and I'm very surprised. Maybe you also collect this soil and save this for using in another direction.
What happens now that we heard in Rotterdam is that in the moment that they need to redesign public spaces in the city, so they need healthy soil, like high quality soil, they usually take it from new housing developments that are happening at the edge of the city. So there they need sand for the foundation and for the construction sites. So then there is a sort of circular
but how
already.
How problem is because how they can understand or how deep they can collect the soil before building or before before mining or before before destroying land. They need to understand how deep. We do like big hole, big deep, and after this quality control, we understand how many I don't know this word in English, sorry.
No, but I'm not sure if I have an answer, but I can ask our partners and then update you on it if I find
for
it.
for me it's really interesting because we have Soviet Union style legislation, and only 10 years we start to work in this direction to improve, and time to time I try to find the European experience for this, but for me it's very difficult because we haven't this topic like we have. We need to check, we have agricultural passport, and it's very complicated, but Ukraine have very good soil, and for us also important to save this soil. When we build a housing, can you imagine, time to time it's maybe 1.5 meter soil, and we can collect it and save and use another direction, like also municipality, like reclamation after mining, and
I think Ksenia mentioned, like, you know, the weather drill samples to take. You mean like weather drill samples, examples of like making boring, deep, you dig in this thing and look what kind of soil in the layers layout, and what can you use for another like topic or another project. I think this Ksenia mentioned. Do in Rotterdam make this?
Yeah. That's what I meant also with samples, that indeed when you need to have specific information, you still go on site. And also this Dino Loket is based on samples that are taken. And then what the database online does is that these samples are not that many that they do, unless it's necessarily specifically needed for a project. But between these lines, they make a sort of assumption of what is the soil in between. I can even show you maybe a picture.
And then you can decide so what like deepness of soil you can use on.
Who decided?
No, but exactly. So what I wanted to say is not really about quality. It's more composition. I can show you how this works. I have a small. Let me share again my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is this Dino data information of the Dutch subsurface. How it works is that you have a model that you can access, and you somehow get the whole Netherlands, and then you select this broad geotop, which has basically all these dots are these samples that you're talking about. So they did them and they made them available on this database. And then what you get is basically a composition of the soil. So it's in this case is, for example, the first layer is mainly sand, fine sand, and then below at 5 you have organic material. So
now we see now your folder structure.
Oh shit! Sorry. Then I shared the wrong screen. Do you see a presentation now?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, then I'm gonna go quickly through it. This is the database. It's called Dino, and you get the subsurface model that you can access. You get the whole map of the Netherlands, and then in the moment that you select this broad geotop, you basically get all the samples that have been made around the cities. But what happens is that these are sort of somewhat generic samples that then combine, so you get them singularly. So you click on a dot and you get the composition, like I was saying, in this case, this specific dot is there. And then what they do, they allow you to draw a section, this green line, and then they assume that in between the different dots along this line, the soil composition is basically merging the two dots. So then you get an indication of what the composition is. And by like you don't know exactly, let's say, the specific quality of a specific place, but what you know, for example, is that in this section between 0 and -5 meters, it's this anthropogene, which is really this sandy, non-fertile soil at all. So this is kind of the soil that you could potentially take out in the moment that you need a different purpose for the soil. But this is all you get. In the moment that you want more, so for a specific location, exactly, is it polluted? Is it contaminated? Is it then they still do these samples, but then way more specifically. It's not like a ready-made available data yet either here. And we didn't look into that. We were more looking in this research, we were more looking at like a methodology on how to even approach the soil in the city. So yeah, we didn't go into the details of what exactly happens in that specific location. Usually what you do, you really, like for the latest, that's maybe also interesting to mention that now what happens is that in the latest phases of the project, so in the moment that you're towards definitive design, then you ask again this soil expert to take a sample, but until then, nobody really knows what exactly happens underground. And that's also what was a bit our intention with this research, to show how important it is to kind of look at it from the beginning.
And have you been looking on the retrofitting of the poor or contaminated soil? Because this is also going to be quite a challenge for Ukraine after all the bombarding and mines. There is a lot of heavy metals left in the soil. And
but we didn't really look into that, no. No.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for presentation. Very
No,
interesting.
of course. You can find it, by the way. Yeah, the report, it's in English, so that's also handy.
Yeah,
and you can find it on the website.
In the description. Yeah. And I saw in your presentation that there was also your email as a contact.
Yeah.
Can we also put it in the description for the...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Martina, can you also send the link for this Dino card?
Definitely.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And Dina, last question, sorry. Dina, is it private organization who make this or
it's a good question.
State or municipality who pay for this? Who responsible for this information? Because time to time it's not true or something, you start building and start, but it's all good quality, but it's pollution and some happened. Who responsible for this?
It's a good question. I feel it's yes, TNO, so it's a private. Yeah, and
private.
In relation, no, it's a combination actually. It's TNO, so geological experts, and the ministry fund, and the minister. So it's a combination. Interior, the Ministry of Interior and TNO. So I think it's a combination of public and private.
National and private company. Thank you very much. That was very compact.
Yeah, extremely compact. Yeah.
Yes.
Very much.
Of course.
Yes, and see you next time for the next week in Ukrainian language. Already going to be the lecture, and that would be from Yelena Shevchenko and a bit from me about the planning tools. Yes, thank you and have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.